Hello, this is BSJ, and this video is going to be talking about proper item builds for Sven. So this is obviously coming from 7.06D, where I'm recording this video. But a lot of these items, it's important to consider across all patches, even if, the items are buffed or nerfed. So right off the bat, in the starting items, I always have a mango. Sven is a hero that is pretty useless in lane if he doesn't offer kill potential, and his only kill potential is his stun. So the mango gives him an extra stun, and it makes it so that he has that option at any point. It's just a burst of mana that gives him an extra stun and a gank. If he has no mana, he'll suddenly have a stun, and it just makes him that much more of a threat in lane. So my starting item build is pretty much always Tango, Salve, Stout, Mango, and then I'll either buy a Clarity if I feel like we might do something level 1, or I want to use a stun early on in lane, or I'll buy a Branch if I want that extra Tango for regen, because I'm probably going to end up devouring it because I run out of slots very quickly. Or if I don't think I need either of those, I'll just leave the slot open and just have Tango, Salve, Stout, and a Mango. So moving on from there, I almost always buy a Quelling Blade as early as possible. He's a hero that, it benefits his cleave, as well as the fact that he has high base damage and it just secures all of his CS, and he ends up jungling woods a lot anyway, so he's always going to have one. So it's like, why not just buy it unless you absolutely need boots in a lane? The other options are Stick and Boots. Stick against heroes like Batrider and Bristleback. Boots when you're against, heavily gank lineups, like maybe you're dealing with a roaming Clockwork, plus an offlaner that can chase you down, and you might need early boots as possible. But aside from that, your options after boots are upgrading to treads or Mask of Madness. So pretty much what that boils down to is treads are more consistent for the laning stage, like they give you more power in the laning stage, while Mask of Madness is a sudden burst of power and farm once you get it. What that really means for you is, go treads if you feel like you want to be able to dominate the lane, and go Mask of Madness if you feel like the lane's going to go pretty static or you're free farming anyways, and you can just get that steroid up as soon as possible. So Mask of Madness has become a really core item on him because you lose armor and get silenced, and you're able to use all of your abilities. You're able to, blink, Warcry, stun, ult, and then you have the Warcry to counteract the Mask of Madness armor loss, and then you utilize all your abilities, so now it's just time to, hit people as fast as possible with the Mask of Madness. Past the Mask of Madness, you have options between Blink, Echo Saber, Sange Yasha, Halberd. All of these are viable options. Even Shadow Blade with your mana talent is a viable option. And it's one of those things where, for a hero like Sven, it's really gauging what the next 5 to 10 minutes after your Mask of Madness is going to look like. Are you going to be primarily farming? Does your team need to fight and you're needed to initiate, where you'd buy a Blink? Are you needed to farm, but at the same time you need to be survivable to ganks? In that case, a Halberd can be really useful against specific targets. So Halberd, in this case, helps disarm, heroes like TA, heroes like Clinks, heroes like, anything that relies on right-clicking you down, especially heroes that look to gank you. So Halberd is very useful as a survivability tool, and it's also good for damage. So it's basically, if you're choosing to farm, you're looking at Sange Yasha, Echo Saber, or Halberd. Halberd's the survivability option, Sange Yasha is the all-around option, and Echo Saber is kind of the sustain farm, as well as it speeds up your timing a little bit. Pretty much my decision between Sange Yasha and Echo Saber is what I think my timing on my next item will be, Blink or BKB. So like if I'm looking at, my timing, if I think I need Blink or BKB 1300 gold sooner, then I'll buy the Echo Saber over the SNY. Just because they offer similar purposes, even though they are completely different items. They're both like a farming item for Sven, and like an all-around utility item. But at the same time, they have a very significant difference in cost. So past those, I don't like to go too many small items. I think Mask of Madness, as of now, unless it gets nerfed in the future, is literally core every single game. It's just so good on the hero. So once you buy the Halberd, Echo Saber, Blink, or SNY, you're looking at another choice, right? So if you buy the Blink, you can go back for some of the other items. You can go back for the Halberd, you can go back for the SNY or the Echo Saber for the exact same reasons. Or, pretty much the decision to buy BKB is, do I need a BKB to fight? Most games of Sven you do. And even if they're buying Diffusal Blades, that Sven would need a BKB for that. And if I wasn't clear in my other videos, that's because your Warcry is purgeable. So your BKB there effectively serves as not getting slowed by a Diffusal Blade, as well as giving you plus 20 armor. So another option in that case if you're only building a BKB for Diffusal Blades or other purges, is to have an AC. So if you feel like, AC is a slightly more expensive option, it gives you more damage, but it doesn't give you any resistance to magic damage as well as stuns, then AC is definitely an option. If you feel like, you don't need a BKB to fight. AC is a nice farming steroid. It's good for the rest of your team, helps take down buildings as well as Roche, and it's just a good overall item, all-around item for Sven. So, when we're looking at a 6-slotted Sven, items to consider, we have, one of the smaller items with the Echo Saber, Halberd, or SNY. And then you look at items like AC, BKB, Lincolns that I've seen against specific heroes when you're BKB. If you have a BKB and if they are able to lock you down through BKB, if you don't have a Lincolns, then Lincolns can be really useful. I don't think Lincolns without a BKB on Sven specifically is very good. Other options are Silver Edge instead of Blink, like Shadowblade, Silver Edge instead of Blink. Heroes like Bristleback, heroes like Venomancer, where his wards will scout you out and cancel your Blink. Shadowblade can be really good for that. And, Silver Edge active is very useful against certain heroes' passives. Other options are Satanic, like you can disassemble your Mask of Madness in the late game for, because you want that burst of heal. Bloodthorn, which allows you to spam your stun at high levels, and it also gives you the mana to sustain around the map, and the attack speed and damage is quite nice. Abyssal Blade, in very unique situations where you have to lock down a hero through BKB. Daedalus, when all you need is pure damage and you don't really need the silence from Bloodthorn, Daedalus on Sven is significantly more damage than Bloodthorn because of the fact that his damage numbers flat just from his ultimate are so massive. So your crits will be, ridiculous numbers, over 1,000. MKB against high evasion heroes, when you feel like, that target needs to be brought down. Cleave does go through evasion, but at the same time, if you're having to hit the target that has evasion, then MKB is certainly necessary. Heart's another item to consider. Heart's an item where you need to kill buildings or just stay in the front line. You're not all that concerned about your damage output, you just need to not die. But ever since his change to his ult where he gets a ton of strength, I think Heart has definitely fallen off. I'd rather almost have a Satanic in every situation because of the fact that you have all the health you have from a Heart built into his ultimate, and then the Satanic just gives you the burst heal from his lifesteal. So items that I really do avoid on Sven is Desolator. Most oftentimes I'll avoid Mjolnir for the exact reason that, heroes build Mjolnir to clear illusions or, multiple units, and Sven already has that. Battle Fury is generally overkill. Any defensive utility items, Lotus Orb, Shiva's, Crimson, he's a hero that has to have all of his items be damage, survivability in the form of, giving him a little bit of damage, where we see Halberd, SNY, Satanic, or just items that allow him to hit you. Mobility items, BKB. Another item to consider in the late game is Refresher Orb, such that you can have 2 BKBs, 2 active items, Satanics, etc. But in general, really avoid buying utility items on Sven in terms of ones like, that help the rest of the team. The only team item you really ever buy is a Soul Cuirass. So, like I said for Sven, your weakness is getting kited. So always think about your items in terms of, your strengths are Warcry and your weaknesses are getting kited. So it's one of those things where as long as you're able to hit targets with your ultimate plus Warcry, you'll never lose a mana battle. But if you're getting kited because you don't have a BKB, you don't have a Blink, then that's when Sven becomes incredibly useless. But at the same time, if you're farming and you built SNY instead of Halberd and you're suddenly dying to these heavy physical damage dealers while you're stunned, or while they're manning up on you, then Halberd, it was definitely the correct choice. So I hope you guys enjoyed this video on itemizing for Sven, and my next video will be talking about how to approach the early game as Sven.